Yeah, I'm all good. How are you?
I'm all right. I'm buzzed a little bit. I've got the booze on, and yeah, it's a very special podcast today, isn't it?
Why is that?
We may have reached our 2-year milestone.
Woo!
Congratulations, Is.
Woo!
In
And
that time, we've put out 13 episodes.
13 of the best goddamn episodes you've ever listened to in your entire life.
Go team.
And I thought, what better way to celebrate than to have a drunken Q&A and have our best friend join us on the podcast?
No, she's there.
Hi, Nami.
Yeah, Nami's the best friend.
Gina is the landlord of the best friend. Hello, welcome to the
I hope you
podcast,
put a rent
Gina.
Hello.
You may have heard her in a previous podcast. She was in episode 10. She was part of the table read. Some people might be asking, why is Gina here? Like, what? Apart from obviously being one of our closest friends, the main reason is this podcast wouldn't exist without Gina. She is the whole reason that me and Andie kind of like got talking, and this whole idea became fully fledged. So we owe the entire podcast and our friendship to this lady down here. So we're very appreciative. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So are you the podcast grandma?
I'll take that.
It's like I can see in her face. Like, should I be offended? Should I carry on?
Yeah, I wasn't sure when it was coming out my mouth whether it was offensive or not. You don't know until you've said the last of the syllable.
I can't remember exactly when it was, but I remember we were at some kind of not convention. We were some kind of group meeting, either a birthday or a Halloween or something like that. And I remember a conversation going on the lines of Gina saying to me, like, "You like script writing, don't you?" I'm like, "Yes." Well, my mate Andie does it too. I'm like, "Really? There's somebody else?" I believe. I believe that's where the conversation went, and we started talking for the rest of the night. How do you remember it?
I actually don't.
Me neither.
I remember it being at some kind of get together, and I remember Gina just offhandedly saying, "You do script writing, right? Or you like writing, right?" And I'm like, "Yeah." I was like, Andie does that too. And I'm like, "She does."
Was it the night of the infamous Uno game?
No, I think it was after that. That infamous Uno game happened years before that, I think.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Mm.
Oh, then no, I really don't remember, to be honest.
That Uno game predates our marriage.
My Alzheimer's kicked in a while ago, I'm afraid.
It's been 2 years now. It's all going down the drain.
You asked me what I did this morning. I've got no idea, but I know you were there.
We were at Pride. Hence the rainbow sleeves.
No, I don't remember even meeting you, to be honest.
Just that stunning a personality. Like, you can remember it was so entertaining you couldn't remember a single part of it.
Well, I guess I had the same thought that everyone has upon meeting you, and that's Jesus Christ, that's a pain in my neck.
Yes. I am very tall. I'm 6'3".
He's about a foot higher than I am. So Gina's coming to us today with a load of questions that she's come up with, and she's going to pose to us. And we've got no idea what she's actually going to ask. This could be terrible, but that's why we've got the wine.
First question is, what was it that made you want to get into writing?
For me, it was something that stemmed from the writing of stories. That sort of thing came from like playing in the playground when you were kids, and like me and my sister used to make up TV shows as we walked to and from school when we were very, very young, and that just kind of developed into making stories, making skits, that sort of thing. And then, just not to retread too much ground in the first episode we did, but that developed into when I was playing video games, particularly like simulation video games, so like The Sims, Racing Sims, Sim Cities, that sort of thing. I like having control over my own little world. Not over people, but over my own little world. And I can do that with writing in a safe, kind of like responsible way kind of thing. I can have ultimate control over everything and tell my own little stories, that sort of thing. That's what initially got me into it. It's kind of like through play, and it's through wanting to have control over something I didn't have control over at the time.
Mm-hmm.
How about you, Andie?
I think for me it was escapism more than anything, because I've been writing since I was very, very young. Right back in primary school, I think, was when my first stories started coming out, and a lot of that was wanting to escape into worlds that I was building. I used to read a lot at that age. I was always like an advanced reader, and I found that escaping into the worlds that I was creating was a lot more satisfying than any world that I was reading. So it kind of just it went from there, and then we started doing like creative writing projects at school. I remember the first one was about a boy who was getting bullied, and his best friend became a phoenix, and it was just printed off in Comic Sans, I believe, in probably like that 14-point font size, and printed off and spiral bound for the parents. But it was like one of the very first things I remember writing and really enjoying, and I got really nice feedback from it. And I think maybe the validation from my teacher enjoying it as much as I enjoyed writing it sort of fed that I like writing. Writing feeds all of my happy places. So that's how that really came about.
It's like you like it. You really, really like it. It's like then
You
all the
like me, you like me.
endorphins.
Okay, that sort of leads into my second question. So, what was the first thing you remember writing, and how old were you when you wrote it?
I've answered that one.
Yeah, pretty much. But how old were you?
I I think I'd say I was about 6 or 7, around that age, because it's a really, really distant memory. I was in primary school. I was in the second primary school that I was in, and I went there in like the last 3 years, so probably years 3 through 6. So I would say around about like 6 or 7ish.
I think mine will probably be around the same. So like year 4 onwards, when I first started writing kind of things. When I was in year 5 is when I started writing my first novel. It's not a novel. It was literally like a page with a chapter, but I was starting out basically. I started in year 5, so I would have been about 10 or 11 if you're not from the UK. Would have been about 10 or 11 when I started like properly. Like I said, I would always just do it in my own free time, that sort of thing. But that's when I think it officially started from, was when I was 10 or 11. But I probably was writing something before then.
What's your favourite thing that you've ever written?
I don't want to say pizza script because I feel like that's an obvious answer from people who already watch this podcast and listen to this podcast. So I won't say the pizza script. The first script I ever finished wasn't the pizza script. And I think it's the one that I look back on with the fondest of memories. It's completely unproducible. It involves people. It involves like teenagers and guns and like an action subplot and stuff like that. You couldn't produce it now, but the gist of it is, it was my friends. So I'd self-inserted myself and my friends into this world where there was a enemy mafia organization who had a couple of dimwits in their team, and they'd left a gun in one of their wheelie bins. And the teenagers had recently had a breakup, and the guys in that group had gone off on a road trip, and the ladies in that group were basically found this gun, and it was like a whole kind of like story arc of like where does this gun belong to, who has it, and then all the time whilst that's happening, the mafia are trying to like track down where they left the gun. It was kind of like a screwball kind of like action comedy with a little bit in between thrown in as well. Completely unproducible, but that's probably my favourite thing I've ever written.
Sounds like it belongs on ITV. ITV2.
It belongs somewhere. I don't know where.
Yeah, like the 8 o'clock slot just after Coronation Street, but before the other Coronation Street.
While EastEnders is on the other channel.
Yeah, that sounds like where it belongs.
Just knock EastEnders off the schedule and just put that instead. I even remember what it was called as well. It was a pun, and it was a shit pun as well. It was called Half Jocked.
I get it.
Yeah, exactly. It's supposed to be a pun on half cocked or going off half cocked, but because they're
Oh,
dumbasses, it was half jocked. If you have to explain the joke, it obviously didn't work. So yeah, we'll leave it at that. How about you, Andy? What's the most favorite thing you've ever written ever?
ever is the story of Hale and Todd. It's what the novel that I've not published, that I've not like really put out there, but I've been working on it on and off for like 10 years, I want to say actually. So I'll put the very first chapter that I ever wrote about him on my Substack and the opening chapter of the rewrite. I've put them on there, so they're available to read. But working on the world of him and his story and the characters in this world, I love it every time. Like I go into a rewrite, I enjoy the process so much. He's one of them characters that he's like an invisible friend. Is that like weird?
Can you hear his
Yeah.
It's
voice
like I
in
can,
your head when you're like not
yeah,
actively working on him?
I can talk to him, and I can understand him as a person, him as a character, his story a lot more. And every time I'm writing about his world, I always find something new and enjoyable within the process, and it's something that I'm really looking forward to getting to a good place to share it with everyone.
Hmm.
Because at the minute it exists in like these dribs and drabs and bits and bobs that aren't cohesive. They're not fully tied together in a way that I'm happy with. But I just love working on the world of him. I have an entire folder just full of notes and scenes and bits that have happened, and yeah. And I mentioned it on the story before, but there was a whole weird thing with me working on this story where I described someone in quite a lot of detail. Physically, I gave them a name, and they went through this situation where they were physically harmed in a specific way. And then shortly after I wrote that, I met someone who matched that description, had that same name, and had been physically harmed in that exact same way.
That's so weird.
You're clairvoyant.
Magic.
Magic. Andy's not going to clip that and use that too many times.
No, it's just a weird coincidence, but it's one of those things that's kind of like just added to the whole lore of me working on, the story of Hale and Todd. That it's so big and so wonderful for me.
I like
Not
the
the person
name.
getting beaten up. That's not wonderful.
The whole like journey of creating that character in that world. Kind of. I like the name. The name rolls off the tongue. Hale and Todd. I love it.
Yeah, I like that name. Do you have a favourite character that you've created, and why are they your favourite?
I can answer this one. It came to my head immediately. On my police procedural script, which I've been writing for a very long time now, about 2 years. This first episode. There is a character that I quite like writing. There's two characters actually, but the one that came to my head first was the main character's daughter, who is called Marcy May Tillman. She is like I love writing for her because she's just so easy to write for. She's just so easy to write for. Like I can hear her voice in my head as I'm writing. She's inspired by a couple of like positive positive female stereotypes, positive female role models in my life. So Gina is one of them, and there's a couple of other like friends that I have that this character is inspired by. But like she's no nonsense. She's a really caring mother. She's the one that's basically giving like the heart of the show. Basically, she's the one that's like kicking the main hero up the backside, saying like, "You're not wrong in your theories here. You're absolutely right. I'm behind you 100% of the time." Like she's a really quite strong character, and I'm quite proud of what I've written so far for her. And I'm interested to see how she develops further as I write it more. But she's one of my favorite characters I've ever written for, hands down.
I'd say for me, as much as I love Halen and the world, as a novel, he's the character I enjoy the most. But in terms of the screenwriting, I think the one who I've has been my favorite, going to a completely different medium, so it's a different process, different interaction with the character, I guess. I would say it's Mildred from Courier This,
I
because
love her.
she's just dry and brilliant. She just exceeds all your expectations, and she spins them on their head, and at the same time like she delivers the sass without saying a lot of words, and she's not above like physically hurting one of the characters who's a bit of a dick. I just absolutely loved it. Every opportunity I got, I had her slapping that guy's hat off, just because it makes me laugh so much.
I love her. She's great.
Have you ever written any characters that were secretly based on a friend or relative?
I guess not secretly. So in my novel In a Lonely Manor, which is set in a manor house, would you believe? Shocker. The story is about this wealthy girl who's come from a very difficult background, and she's returning back to her family house, the family manor. And the housekeepers there, Entwood and Lydia. That's what they're named at the moment. Their names might change if I put it out there. But Lydia, she's very much based on my auntie, and my auntie is fabulous. She's that no nonsense kind of woman, but she's such a softie. It's hidden behind like a layer of, you know, she's not a very huggy person. She's not like a lovey-dovey, but she'll make you a cup of tea as soon as she walks in. And if you're struggling, you can go to her for anything, and she'll just give it to you straight with love as well. And I kind of wanted that same warmth and same relationship for this character, so I totally based it on my auntie.
Finn, was there anyone else, any other characters that were based on people, or just the ones you mentioned?
Like I said, my novel that I did, I started off when I was in year 5. That was basically my friendship group at the time and myself. Self-inserts. But what if we were James Bond? What if we were all James Bond and we had to like save the world from a Blofeld-esque person? Yeah, I've done it quite a lot actually. Not intentionally, but sometimes. Back in the day, I used to do it all the time. But nowadays, I kind of like I borrow elements from different people and I put them in my characters. Especially if I just like I can't quite grasp what the idea of one character is. I'll attribute it to someone that I know that's vaguely similar, and that will sometimes help me kind of like figure out where that character is actually going.
I suppose it's easier to write from experience, from what you know. Yeah. Yeah,
absolutely.
You can't do it in a way where you're literally transposing a person into the story as much as you want to.
As much as I'd like to be like, yeah, I'm going to put Gina in the script. It's going to be absolutely perfect. I'm going to get her down to a T. It won't be genuine because it won't be Gina. It will be my idea of you. It won't be Gina. If that makes sense.
We're going to take from that the fact that we think you're sassy, that you're beautiful, that you're marvelous, that you tell it to us straight. And we just slap it all in different characters. And we call her not Gina.
Just a run. She's called Tina. She's called Tina. There we go. Not Gina, it's Tina.
Get that a lot. Okay. What would be your advice for someone wanting to get into writing?
Right.
Best piece of advice. Just right.
That's valid. That's valid. Just start it. Don't say I've got a great idea for blah 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 blah. Just do that idea. Doesn't matter if it's like on a post-it note, if it's not on like a computer somewhere, not perfectly formatted or anything like that. Just do it. Once you've got those words down on a page, you can then make it pretty later. The prettiness comes afterwards. Just get it down, get it done, then make it pretty.
I think it's true though. I think in a very, very early stage, you're very easy to get caught up in wanting it to come out perfectly because you've got the picture in your head. You want it to come out exactly like that. Mm-hmm. And if it doesn't, you get in your own way, you get stuck in a loop of editing and you start to get frustrated with the whole process and maybe even lose your own confidence with it. I say just vomit all over the page, make it messy, make it crap.
And then start writing.
What about with like ideas? Because something I've always struggled with is I know I can write, like I can get the words down and I can make it sound good, but it's coming up with original ideas that I've always struggled with. So like what would be your advice if someone could write, but they really struggled with coming up with original ideas? How do you come up with your ideas? Or do they just sort of come to you?
I have nightmares, so...
I listen to a lot of music. So when I'm commuting, I'll put Spotify on. And I'll sometimes a certain song will spark something in me. And I'm like, I wanted to write that down, so I'll get it on the notes app, and then I'll transfer it from the notes app onto a computer or a notebook, that sort of thing. But in terms of like generating original ideas, I feel like there's no idea there's an original idea. Every idea is based on something else or inspired by something else. That's the very nature. It's a very nature of story making, is that you will borrow things from different people and make something new with it. But obviously, if you're going to make, I don't know, K-pop Demon Hunters 3, and it's already come out, then obviously I probably can that. But yeah, you can borrow from things, just don't outright copy them.
Yeah.
No plagiarism here. I think for me, I always boil it down to a feeling and a question. So, what emotion are you feeling at the moment? And again, it could be like how Finn was just saying about listening to Spotify. It could be inspired by that. What's your emotion? And then the question is, what if? So, say you're on a bus and you feel inside, okay, what if I got off the bus right now? What would happen? And it can lead you down a different way. And if you get stuck, just sit there and go, okay, what if?
Mm-hmm.
What if I took away people using money? What would happen? Or what if we changed into some, homogenous kind of species because we all watch TikTok and we all buy the same things? What would happen then? Boil it down to a feeling and a what if.
That's perfect. I've got no notes. That's perfect.
Okay.
I had a very similar idea to that recently. I was on the bus and I had an idea of what would happen if it was a TV series set on a bus that blows up. And every episode is the story of a passenger on that bus and how they got into that situation, basically. And I thought it was a great idea. And then I realised it's already been done.
Speed.
It's already been done. Speed exists. And there's also, I think there's a Korean film as well, which is basically that's the whole storyline. It's a guy on a bus, the bus blows up, but every day repeats like Groundhog Day. Something new changes each time. So it's already been done. But when I was on the bus, I thought, this is a great idea. I can go through every individual like character and see why they got on that bus, blah, blah, blah. But no, it's already been done.
I'll be honest, Finn, as you were saying that, I had two thoughts in my head. My first thought was, I'm pretty sure I've seen that. And my second thought was, I'm never getting on a bus with you.
Yeah. It's weird how my mind goes somewhere. I don't know how I came up with it, but it just popped into my head one day.
Have you ever considered writing a story sort of based on a true event? Like you talking about the bus thing made me think of a musical called Come From Away, which is based during 9/11, but it's not actually based at the actual attack. It's based on a load of characters a load of people that were on planes in the sky at the time that the attack took place, and they all had to, obviously they closed the airways, so they all had to land in Canada, in like this tiny town in Canada. And the musical is basically, it follows a few different characters, sort of how they got there, their backstories. One of them had a son that was a firefighter in New York, so she was like desperately trying to find out if he was alive, and stuff like that. And so have you ever considered writing something that's sort of in that sort of theme, like based on something that's really happened but sort of from a different perspective?
I'd like to, but I don't know if I could ever do anything justice. And I say that from a self-confidence perspective with my writing. So it's all well and good, you guys reading it or be getting feedback on things, but I think I'd have to feel really content with my capabilities to tell a story properly. Because there's, I don't know what kind of story I would write anyway, because I've watched so many different ones that are based on true stories. Like recently I watched, I have no idea what it's called, but it's one about the guy who got stuck in Nutty Putty Cave. I don't know if you know about that.
Upside down.
He's a guy who, he got stuck. I see Finn just going, what?
Upside down.
He got upside down. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
He was
Oh,
stuck in a
not
cave upside down.
was it 127 hours?
No, different
Yeah,
person.
maybe.
It's a similar story though, isn't it? Where he had
Mm.
to cut his foot off.
Oh no, he didn't cut his foot off. He just
His arm.
died. But I watched that story, and the people who adapted that had gone to a really, really, really long, like extreme degree to make sure the story was told properly
Yeah.
and was handled sensitively for the whole family, and was done in a way that just didn't take away from the story or the trauma of what they'd gone through. So it was really well handled. And then on the flip side of it, I also admire the likes of I Love You, Philip Morris. I don't know if you know that one.
Mm.
It's a film with Ewan McGregor and Jim Carrey.
Yeah.
I've heard of. I think I've seen the trailer for it. I'm familiar
Bloody
with
fantastic. Bloody fantastic. It is an absolute comedic jaunt. Jim Carrey's fantastic in it, and it just tells the story of a real life felon doing something utterly absurd. And again, I admire what they've done with it, but I don't know if I'd be able to do that myself.
It take a lot of research, I think, to write something accurately based on something that's really happened.
I think
Yeah, it's easy to
definitely
come up
that.
with. It's easy to come up with the people yourself and put them through trauma and put them through hardships because they're imaginary. They're not. You're not actually doing any harm.
Mm.
Whereas if you're writing based off of someone's experience, you've kind of got a duality of you're re-traumatizing their story, and I can't remember
dramatic
what the point
effect.
is. I was gonna make. Yeah, and dramatic effect, and you've got to do it in a way that is, you've got to handle it sensitively. You've got to deal with it properly in a way that doesn't fuck up their story. Like the guy on the Titanic as well, the guy who shot himself.
Mm.
Mhm.
Can't remember the officer's name, but the dramatic portrayal was he shot himself. He committed suicide because he couldn't handle what was going on.
Which is completely
And then
fabricated.
afterwards, yeah, and the family afterwards were like, that did not happen. Fuck off.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to do that. I wouldn't want to put someone through that.
I remember that being, I think that's right on YouTube, like one of those top 10 lists and things. Yeah, it's completely made up for dramatic effects. And I don't know if they ended up suing the filmmakers for it, but I wouldn't be surprised if they did.
Something like that.
For me, I don't know if I've not written anything that's based in a real kind of event thing happening. But I have noticed that most of the scripts that kind of get really high up on like writing competitions tend to be of that ilk, where it's like an event but from a different perspective. Kind of thing seems to go a lot further.
I think it's because people, if they already know the story, there's a familiarity there. So that if they already know the main story and they're just sort of hearing it from another's perspective, I think it's easier to relate to because you already know, you're familiar with the story already.
Yeah.
Like going back to musicals, for me, some of my favorite musicals are based on films that already exist. And I find it easier to get into because I already know the story.
That's just
I'm already familiar with it.
sprung something in my head about in relation to musicals as well as a TV show. I've not written anything, like I said, it's based on a real event, but one of a recent TV show and a musical, most of the TV show, that's really resonated with me over recent years has been Russell T Davies did a TV series, I think 2 years, before he took Doctor Who back up again, called It's a Sin. And it goes through the AIDS crisis from the perspective of a young gay person who didn't know anything about it. Obviously, back in the day, there was very little information about it. And it kind of like chronicles his life through finding out the discovery of it, trying to avoid it, getting it, and then how it ends up, basically, without spoiling anything. But it is such a lovely TV series, and I highly recommend it, watching it back on, I can't remember if it's on BBC or Channel 4 when it first came out, but I highly recommend someone going back and watching that because it's a great series. You will cry. I'm telling you now, you will cry. Because I was bawling throughout the entire thing, but I was bawling for the best possible reason. And then the other one was obviously Rent, because obviously that's the same situation. It was about the AIDS epidemic, and how a load of LGBT characters have to navigate that. No, I think Gina has probably a better idea of that because she's seen the whole thing. But it's kind of that, isn't it, Gina?
Yeah, that is a big part of it. Yeah. Oh, although on a completely unrelated note to the podcast, but related to that, if you like Rent, watch Tick Tick Boom.
Ooh,
on
you
Netflix.
remembered this, haven't you? Yeah, it's about the guy that did it.
Yeah, it's about
About the guy that
Jonathan
did it.
Larson. Because if you watch Tick Tick Boom, it shows like how much he struggled with writing, and he was really poor. He was like almost like not
Destitute.
able to live because he was so poor. And then he wrote Rent, which obviously blew up, but he never got to know that it blew up because after its opening night, he passed away from an aneurysm randomly.
Oh, that's really sad.
Yeah, so he went through
No.
all of that, and he never even knew that Rent blew up as much as it did, and it made him incredibly famous. But he never got to see any of it because he passed away after the opening night, or something like that, or after a couple of shows or something like that. I know that he passed away before it really blew up, so he never knew.
That's really it's like really sad, but it's also kind of like what a statement to like his work kind of thing, that it lives on and was so popular afterwards as well.
Yeah. Okay, right. Back to the questions.
Oh yeah, we're doing questions.
I'm depressed.
Did you take any writing courses, or are you entirely self-taught?
So every creative writing class that I could get my hands on, I went to. And even then, I probably didn't apply it very well, but I just enjoyed the process of learning the different perspectives when it comes to writing. So we do creative writing at primary school, and that informed my choices up to high school, where I wanted to do English language and literature. And I remember walking out of English literature because I was bored of analysing books. I just wanted to write. I actually said that to the teacher when I dropped the module, and she was very disappointed in me, but neither here nor there. Yeah, so I then found the hallowed halls of fanfic.net, especially for the people who were like talking about how they wrote these things, in the little comment sections. I love that. And then at university I did English language, and I elected for creative writing modules on top of that. And then I did my course with the London Film Academy for screenwriting.
So
Perpetual student.
Yay, learning. Okay, that was really, really cringe. I should have done that. Cut that out.
That was really sarcastic.
Leave it in. I was going to say that, yes, I've done a bit of both. So I've done writing courses. I have done a bit of self-teaching. I've read a couple of script writing books as well. There is I can't remember what it's called now. It's in my bookcase behind me. There was a script writing book by William Smethurst, which is basically just how to script write. It's not called that, but I think it's like how to write for television or something like that. I love that book. That is a book I've read multiple times. Sorry?
Not script writing for dummies, then.
Not script writing for dummies, no. Although if you want to use that, go ahead. I've not read it myself. But How to Write for Television by William Smethurst is one of my favourite books about writing. It was written kind of in the 90s, so some of the information is a little bit out of date now, but the fundamentals of writing you can get from that book. And also, I went to university, didn't I? I went to university to do a media studies degree, and in my final year, there was a module on script writing and video production. So I did both sides of it, basically, both sides of the camera. And I preferred the script writing over the video production bit. So I did a load of scripts in that. We may have read one out earlier on in the podcast. The Goldilocks and the Three Bears Arms Bazaar was a script from that course. It was great. So I've done a few bits here and there. When I was really young, I joined writers groups as well. And I've not seen her in years, but Mrs. Patterson, oh my God, thank you so much for including me in your writers group, because I loved it. I loved every second of it. And that kind of reignited my passion for writing and stuff like that and making stories. So yeah, I've dabbled in everything, really. But said nowadays it's more kind of reading blogs, reading books, stuff like that, specifically about writing or writing genre, that sort of thing. That kind of like reinvigorates me to keep going on. Nothing.
If you could rewrite any piece of media and replace it with your version, what would you choose and what changes would you make?
Talladega Nights and everything.
What was that?
Talladega Nights, The Ballad of Ricky Bobby, and everything.
But hold on, if
Sorry.
you're taking the story and rewriting it, then are you not losing what you enjoyed about the original?
I didn't enjoy anything of that film. It was a Will
okay.
Ferrell movie, and it was the only Will Ferrell movie I've ever watched where I didn't laugh once. It is the worst comedy film I've ever watched in my entire life.
I've never seen it. What's it about?
The premise of it is it's a NASCAR driver who, if I can remember the plot of the film, it's been a while since I've watched it. NASCAR driver who loses his confidence for racing, basically, and his dad tries to convince him to go back into the sport. It is. I literally did not laugh once. It was so dry, so kind of like, okay, this is like bottom of the barrel humor. Like, it was literally so disappointed by that film. My dad fucking loved it.
You would want to rewrite
the whole
that.
thing.
So you want to write the story of the NASCAR thing.
I like to rewrite the story to make it actually funny.
Your own version.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You mentioned sports, and I'm.
How about you, Andie?
I don't know. I've got two in my head that I love. One is Stepford Wives, because the book is fucking amazing. I love it. The book by Ira Levine. The original movie is a bit dated, and it could do with like a modernization, I think. Just bring it up to like the modern times. But the Frank Oz version with Nicole Kidman, chuck it in the bin, because taking the piss, absolutely taking the piss, especially the bit with the credit card and the money dropping out of that. Swear to God, I get proper fist-clenching angry over this one. And actually, I'm kind of working on my own version of it anyway, which is more of like a modern version where people get turned into trad wives through TikTok and social media, which I think is kind of happening anyway. But I feel like if you put this Stepford Wives spin on it, boom. I might cut that because that's a great idea.
Yeah, don't let that go. Don't let that go. Keep that.
And then the other one would be, I would love to work on like a more modern, again, into our times kind of version of The Running Man by Richard Bachman, which is the pseudonym for Stephen King, because I love the novel. I feel like it's a great premise. I feel like there's got a lot to it. And if we can just like bring it up to a modern version that's not got Arnold Schwarzenegger in it being an absolute campy journey that's nothing to do with the original book, I swear to God, again, it's another one where I'll fist clench. We deserve good versions of these books. Because I'm really looking forward to is it The Long Road? That's another one of his Richard Bachman ones. Really looking forward to seeing that, because that looks quite interesting and a really good redo. It's with the guys who did the Hunger Games as well, so they've kind of got that dystopian kind of background anyway. So I'm looking forward to see how they do it, and I feel like Running Man kind of needs that same kind of redo.
I like how Running Man was basically the precursor for Hunger Games anyway. Because like the plot of that is very similar, not the same, but very similar to how Hunger Games kind of ultimately ends and is set up.
Yeah, and it's kind of got that background of people are watching it for the entertainment value, and it's questioning why they're doing that, and it's forced upon them through society, which is kind of like what's forced upon us now with algorithms, YouTube, everything. Like, and you just have to look at the popularity of Mr. Beast videos and what he does with them. He's like Squid Games in a way.
It's very like, it's like an American perspective on like class systems. I know a lot of British. I sound like an old fart when I say this, but a lot of British kind of TV shows and comedies, particularly, they do kind of are based in like the class system, like the everyday guy kind of trying to better his class, but then being beaten down by somebody above him, basically. And The Running Man is a prime example of that. So I think they're all prisoners, aren't they? And it's prisoners being contestants trying to buy their freedom, I think is the premise of it, isn't it?
I don't think they're prisoners. That's the film version.
Oh, okay. So the film version is that.
The book version's a bit different. You sign up for it yourself in the book version.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. But
and the ending, beautiful.
Ending's great. There you go.
That
That's
leads
your
quite
homework for everyone watching at
nicely.
home. Watch The Running Man.
Yeah, I've not watched it. I've heard of it, but
Don't
never
watch
seen
it,
it.
read it.
Read it.
Yeah.
And then laugh during the film.
Mm.
It's very 80s and very camp.
Okay, that does lead into quite nicely the next question. What is your favorite movie or TV show that was based on a book?
Again, this is going to make me sound like a Stephen King whore. 11/22/63. I bloody love the book. The book's a beast.
Mm-hmm.
But there's something really beautiful about that world that he created, and the whole time travel, and not in a romanticized kind of way. Like, the guy's got his struggles, and the supernatural elements are fantastic, and the knock-on effects to everything. He weaves it in so beautifully, and I'll admit, I absolutely fell in love with Sadie. I can see why he fell in love with Sadie as well. And the TV version was, in my eyes, it was fantastic. It was a great adaptation of it. It took out what it needed to because the book was a beast. But it did it in, I think it's a 6-part version of it. But it kept the beautiful things that I enjoyed about the books, and they weaved it in really well. And again, in the TV version, I fell in love with Sadie all the same. Just love her. Just a shame it's James Franco, but you know.
I had an idea while she was talking about that actually, with the adaptations, and it's a recent adaptation. Well, I'd say it's a recent one. The film version that came out was in '96, and the musical film version of it came out I think last year, and that would be Matilda. Because the book is great. Everyone knows the book is great. If you are over the age of 30, you probably, I know I've dated a lot of people there. You may remember the Mara Wilson 1996 Matilda film, which has nothing to do with the book, but it's still very heartwarming, still very nostalgic to look back on. And Pam Ferris is terrifying in that film, which is strange because I don't think she's that terrifying in anything else I've seen her in. She's very quite twee and quite calm in Rosemary and Thyme, and she's like a bit part in Harry Potter, but yeah, she's terrifying in that film. And they recently redid it as a musical, and then the musical became a film. And the musical film is very much similar to the book. And the musical film made me cry multiple times.
I know. I was sat next to you.
Yeah, I was literally a mess. And I loved that film so much. That film adaptation of the book, of the musical. I love it so much. That's probably my answer, definitely that. And Matilda's so lovely. Like, Matilda's like the perfect person to play Matilda was that actress. You couldn't have found a more perfect Matilda.
Oh, I will say, like, from the musical, you guys have had Revolting Children stuck in my head for years
You're
now.
welcome.
Can't get it out of my head.
There are a couple of lines from this 1996 movie that stuck in my head occasionally, which is the "You're big, I'm small" speech, and the Mrs. D, Mrs. I, Mrs. F, F, I, Mrs. C, Mrs. U, Mrs. L, T, Y. And then the bang, why are all these women married?
Why are all these women
Great
married?
Love it. Perfect delivery.
And with the trench ball on that one.
But yeah, I love that film so much. And the other film. I love both films, okay? They give me lots of nostalgic, kind of like comforting joy, as well as kind of like reminding me of like not so great moments of my childhood. And knowing now that like I've got through that, I have become a better person because of that. And I'm not let that knock me down, I think.
When there is an adaptation of a book, do you prefer it if it's like almost word for word, like the script is exactly like the book, and everything is like? Because I had this because I'd watched The Hunger Games before I read it, and then when I read it, I remember going through and being like, "This is exactly how the film goes, like almost to the word." So, do you prefer it when an adaptation does that, or when it makes some like creative changes to adapt better into like onto the screen?
It depends on the property, because as I mentioned again, Matilda 1996 film has nothing to do with the books apart from the characters. It's a different setting. It's in a different country, and it's very kind of like Americanized. But then again, there are other properties where it's followed the book to the letter, like you mentioned, and I kind of prefer that. With the exceptions of what I've mentioned, I prefer it to follow the book as much as it can do. Obviously, I know that with beefy books like the Stephen King book that you mentioned, Andie, they can't do that. But when they follow as close as they can to the book before or the other property before they make it into a TV or a film show, I prefer that.
See, I found that with The Hobbit. I thought they did really. I know a lot of people weren't big fans of the 3 Hobbit movies. But when I read, because I read The Hobbit when I was a kid, and then the movies came out years later, and then I read The Hobbit again, and I remember thinking, it's like
I've
to a
never read
T.
it or watched
So yeah, they had to make it 3
Oh, we need
movies,
to
which
change
people didn't
that.
like.
I was always
but
under the
they
impression that it's
took
a
out like,
shorter
barely
book,
anything.
but they somehow
Everything
stretched
was
3
in there.
films out of it. So
I think that's a lot of people's opinion, and it probably would, like, scenes were probably stretched out, but to my knowledge, I don't think they added much. Although they did add Legolas in, and that was stupid.
bit of fan
That whole
service, that.
storyline with Legolas in it and the elves was not in the book. But that's the only thing that I can think of that was in it, that was added into it that wasn't in the book. I might be wrong. Anyone feel free to correct me. But I just remember reading the book after the films come out and thinking, wow, this is like almost to a T.
Did they just put Legolas in there just because they needed another character that people remembered from the first film?
Well, they managed to get Orlando Bloom back, so.
I see.
But the problem is he was like decades older, and he's supposed to be an elf that doesn't age, and he was supposed to be younger than he was in Lord of the Rings, so it just didn't make sense.
AI'd him.
It's a hologram of him.
Yeah. If I'm answering that question, I'm sort of in the middle of it. So on 2 ends of the spectrum, and I hate to reference this person, and I do apologize about referencing this person, but they did write it. So Roman Polanski adapted Rosemary's Baby. Again, another Ira Levine. I love Ira.
Oh my god, you're obsessed.
I know that. He adapted it, every single thing down to every detail that's mentioned in the book, like the colours that Rosemary's wearing, everything she goes through, every single detail. And it's a bit jarring because it's kind of like, well, when I'm reading something, I like to enjoy letting my imagination, go free. Whereas if I'm watching an exact adaptation, I'm not as satisfied because I feel like I know the story already and it's jarring with the image that I've got in my head. So take it in a completely different, direction into, or like like things like that, those details that don't really matter to the story, but you can play around with, go for it. And then on the flip side, we've got I don't know if you know the Veronica Roth series of Divergent.
I've heard of
Divergent,
it.
Insurgent, Allegiant. So they released those films around the time that they were splitting everything into like part 1, part 2 films.
Yeah.
And Allegiant got absolutely shafted. They ruined whatever it was gone. You can't see the original story of that book in that film because they just took it in a completely different direction. They lost their entire audience over it and completely bastardized it. And I wouldn't watch anything to do with it again, to be honest, because it was so messy.
Yeah, I never read the books. I never read the books, but I did watch the movies. And I remember semi-enjoying the first one, but then I tried to watch the second one and I was just bored and confused. I didn't know what the hell was going on.
They just took it in a completely weird direction and Allegiant down the pan. And so I wouldn't say I'd enjoy something if they completely changed it, but I also wouldn't enjoy it if they stuck strictly to it. I need a bit of balance. Like, give me something new.
Bit of leeway.
Yeah. Give me something new, but don't take away from that core image that I've got.
It reminds me of there's a book series that I like reading at the moment, which is the David Raker series, which Tim Weaver is the author for. And I remember him speaking in an interview about would this book series ever make the leap for TV or film, and he's always said I'm reticent for it because everyone has an image in their head of what David Raker looks like, and it's going to be completely different to whoever ends up playing that role in a TV or a film. I'm like, I completely get that, because if you know a character or read a character for so long, you will have your own version of what that character looks like and acts like, that sort of thing. And make it difficult for it to be transported to then another medium, a visual medium.
Have you had any instances where you felt like the adaptation was better than the book?
Yes. And when I remember one, I'll let you know. There is
yes, but I have no answer.
I know.
I'll give you an example while you think, if you want.
Yeah.
And I roll and sigh all you like, but I'm going to say Twilight.
Oh, she says Twilight.
Only because mostly because of the characters. Like Bella and Edward in the Twilight book, they're both incredibly unlikable. They're horrible people. Horrible. They get better in the second one, but in the first one, they are awful, especially Bella. She's rude to everyone. And in the film, as cheesy and corny and awful as it is, I still love it. And they're still not that likable, but somehow they've made them more likable and easier to relate to in the movie than the book. They are awful in the book. They're horrible. But the film was better. And also, in the book of the first Twilight, you know the villains, like the 3 vampires that are the villains in where you've seen the movie. Andie hasn't, but you have.
Andie, movie night, yay!
But they show up quite early, don't they? Like the Cullens don't meet them very early. They meet them about maybe 3/4 of the way through or 2/3 of the way through.
I forgot they were there for half the film.
You see them. Yeah, you see them. Like you see them attack someone, you see them whatever. In the book, they're not even mentioned until like the second to last chapter. Or like maybe the third before last chapter. So you have no time to form any sort of opinion of them or any sort of
emotional connection.
Yeah, with their characters or anything like that. Whereas in the movie, you see them, and it's like the book. The first like 90% of the book is literally just about Bella and Edward, and then you've got the last 2 or 3 chapters that's about the villains and the actual like action of it, whereas the movie did it better by introducing them earlier and the audience having like knowing something that the main characters didn't yet, whereas the book just didn't have that.
I think I've only read like the first paragraph of the book and I've never seen the film, but my opinion of it is it's not very well written. So
no,
if you put it in the hands
really
of someone.
Oh no, it's Shakespeare. It's like the pinnacle of writing.
It's so badly written. It is.
If you put it in the hands of someone who knows what they're doing in terms of writing and flow and structure.
You hear that, Stephanie Meyer?
She got better as the book went
probably
on,
is
I will say. Like her writing got better after the first one, which I think I don't know for sure, but recently she came out with one called, I think it was Midnight Sun or something, and it's basically Twilight but written from Edward's perspective, and everyone says that it's so much better than the first one. And I think it's just because it's been decades since she wrote the first one. She was probably a lot younger. I don't know if it was her first book or whatever, but you can tell through the writing as you go through the books that her writing does get better. And then this most recent one that came out, everyone has said that the writing is so much better and they wish that one had come out first.
I think that's the blessing and the curse of being a writer, is that you're only as good as the last thing you wrote or something like that. Like, because the first thing you ever write is shit. And then as you work on it and do different drafts of it, that sort of thing, it becomes less and less shit. And then it becomes like something that's presentable, something you could show to somebody and they wouldn't laugh in your face, kind of thing. That's kind of a case of that, where I think like the very first book, is a prime example of that, where it's like, this is my first work. I don't really know what I'm doing at the moment. I'm just happy that I got it finished, and then it makes sense. And then obviously, once you've done that, you're off running.
Yeah. So that's mine anyway. But
The only
Go ahead.
example I can think of is this is probably going to be controversial. Les Mis.
Les Mis.
Yeah, I've tried reading it so many times and I just can't. It's a
It's a
chore.
difficult read. It's
Don't
so
talk
heavy.
to me about Les Mis. I'm still not over
I
the
love the
fact
film.
that Gina tricked me with a top 10 films video a couple of months back, and I thought it was in her top 10 films, and she hated that film. You were talking about the songs from that film for a good couple of months afterwards, so I assumed, oh, this would be part of your top 10. But no, I hate it.
I love the musical. It's one of my favourite musicals, but they butchered it in the movie. The casting was wrong. Yeah, their casting was completely wrong. They went for famous people rather than people that could actually sing.
Stunt casting.
Yeah, Russell Crowe kind of no.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Russell Crowe, Sacha Baron Cohen.
Oh god,
They
yeah.
both
I love Master
ruined
of the House, but I hate that though.
But that's
Ben?
an example anyway.
Any you can think of?
Me,
Mm-hmm.
with the adaptation was better.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm trying to think now. Do superhero films count?
No.
If they were books
There are comic books.
and not comics.
Yeah.
I don't know. Comics is still an art style, I guess, but it's not really.
Yeah. There probably has been, but I can't think of an example right now. My mind's just gone blank. I blame the cider.
What's an idea you had that never ended up being written or finished?
All of them.
Okay, take out finished. What's an idea you had that you never ended up started writing?
Oh god.
Starting
You
to
only have
write.
to look in my notes app. I've got loads. There's quite a few that I think the time loop one is the one that annoys the crap out of me because the premise I enjoy. I love it. I think it's got so much potential. And I don't want to give too much away just in case someone accidentally writes it. Because you never know, that might happen. But I've never been able to finish it. I get to a roadblock on it every single time and I can't come over the roadblock. And it's frustrating as hell because I love the idea. I want to get it out there, but I can't physically manage it. I think it's going to be one of those ones that's just going to sit in the vault forever. And it's, and I really like it.
For me, there is. I have got a Doctor Who spec script in my head. It is in Excel spreadsheet form, but for the life of me, I cannot start it. So I can't think of like how to start this episode, and I know it's like there isn't any stakes in it because it's not going to go anywhere. It's not going to be produced. But in my head, I'm like, it needs to start properly. It needs to start right. It needs to start in the right way in order for me to like read myself through the script. And it ended up never going anywhere. And I've had to restart my second police procedural time travel script. I restarted it recently because I realised I got 45 pages in and I hadn't even finished Act 1 yet. So I was like, I need to restart this because this is ridiculous. So I've restarted that again. And that's becoming a little bit of a white whale at the moment because I know where I want to go. I know where I want to end up at the end of the script, and I know where I'm starting. But the bit in the middle, it's like I don't know what I'm going with it. So I kind of put myself up with roadblocks, like Andie said. It's just not going anywhere.
And we just stop.
Yeah.
Do not pass go. Do not collect script.
It's like it's called thinking about it for a couple of months and then deciding to restart the entire draft.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. We've been there.
Okay. What's a quote from a piece of writing that you wish you'd come up with?
Write up, edit down.
Didn't I tell you that?
Yeah. It doesn't make it any less true. Because I do overwrite, so It's like you have to kind of write your way out of a corner and then edit it down later on. Worry about that on the second draft or the third draft or whatever. Just get it on the page.
Why do you wish you'd said it?
Because it was goddamn like impressive and it motivated me.
Keep going, keep going, keep going.
And you're a wonderful person, and your hair looks lovely today.
To be honest, I can't remember where I heard that from. I think it was somewhere at a writing convention I've been to.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't take the credit.
There'll be somebody in the comments going, actually, no, it was actually.
Yeah. It was this guy on this date in this book.
Mm-hmm. How could you? I'm unsubscribing.
Mm-hmm. We've only got 20 odd subscribers. Like we can't afford to lose.
Can't afford it now. No, you have to stay here for the long haul.
Did you find your
So
quote,
for me,
Andie?
So for me, it's Jean-Luc Picard in Star Trek: The Next Generation, where he says, "It's possible to commit no mistakes and still lose. That is not weakness. That is life." Because it's like, one, it's Picard. Like anything that comes from Picard is law.
Yeah.
And two, he's bloody right. Like you could do everything flawless, and it could still go absolutely wrong. It's out of your control, and it's not a weakness on you. It's just how everything's going at the minute. It's how life's going at the minute. And I think that's what I keep reminding myself of that line. Like, you know, you guys as my friends know that life's been a bit chaotic for me recently. And that's one of the lines that I've been kind of like, it's been a mantra for me. Is like, I could have done everything right. I mean, I'm not saying I have, but I could have. And it still could have ended this way because it was outside of my control.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, coming from, you know, Patrick Stewart himself. It's like
you couldn't find a more classy, more kind of respected actor than Sir Patrick Stewart.
Absolutely not.
Mm-hmm.
Picard is my spirit animal.
What are your favourite and most hated writing tropes that you see used a lot?
Oh, have you met my wife and my kids? And I hope nothing happens to them whilst I'm off on this crazy quest. Oh, wait, I die. Hate that. I can see it in Marloff.
Foreshadowing, isn't it?
Foreshadowing, when it's done right, it plays really well because it's so subtle. Like it's only on reflection where you're like,
yeah.
But when it's smacked in your face like that, yeah.
I don't know about writing, but speaking of that, I watched a really good TV show that I've been recommending to absolutely everybody called The Crowded Room. It's got Tom Holland in it and Amanda Seyfried. And me and Nathan watched it. I already knew the twist at the end because it had been spoiled for me. Nathan didn't. So as we were watching it, I was like picking up on all these hints and foreshadowings that was happening because I knew like where it was leading and why those things were happening. And Nathan was just glossing straight over them because he had no idea what the twist was. And I thought that was interesting. So that was foreshadowing and like hints being thrown in really, really cleverly. Whereas if it's foreshadowing where it's like Finn said, where it's just like, oh yeah, hope nothing happens. That's, well, yeah, now I've guessed exactly what's going to happen.
It kind of removes the suspense for you, doesn't it? Like you can't immerse as much because you're like, well, I already know where this is going.
This relates to the question beforehand as well, but it leads into Chekhov's gun. If you see a gun in the first act, it has to be fired by Act 3. So if you foreshadow something in Act 1, it has to be paid off by Act 3. But don't hit me over the face with it.
So what's the trope you like then, Finn? We know crappy foreshadowing is one that you don't like. Is there a trope that you see a lot that you really like?
I like a trope when you see like a stereotype of a certain person or a certain archetype being twisted in a way you're not expecting. So that when it comes to that point, you're like, oh, they're not like that person. Or they're not just going to save the hero because they have to. It's like, no, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it because I want to, not because I have to. or I'm not going to save the hero because fuck them. I like kind of like well-rounded characters that seem like they're not just there to serve a purpose; they're there because they need to be there. Like
mean like
well-rounded
characters? You mean like characters that are presented in a way where you're expecting them to go in a certain direction and then they just
Yeah.
like Steve from Stranger Things.
Yes. Yeah. The first season of I'm only on season 2, by the way. The first season of Stranger Things, Steve is a dick. Steve is a massive dick, and everyone hates him. And I just want to punch him in the face. By season 2, I'm like, yeah, Steve, you're great. You're fine. Whatever.
And by season 4, he's one of the best characters. He's one of my favourites.
Good.
So
I'm glad to hear.
Season 4.
Yeah. I think the
Do you think that...
end of season 1, beginning of season 2, I completely switched around on that character.
Is that a question though of they always intended that to happen, or is that one of those things where they saw the fan reception and they kind of like twisted it, but they've played it off really well?
You sort of see it happening. Like he's sort of portrayed like he's so he's in high school and he's like really popular. So stereotypes would tell you that it's going to go a certain way. He's going to be a dick, and at certain points he is. But even from the very beginning, there's hints there that he's not.
He's not the school bully. He's doing it for other reasons.
Yeah. He's doing things for good reasons, even though sometimes he's a dick about it. But then by the end of season 1, you see a completely different side to him that you weren't expecting to see, because he was portrayed as this popular guy that was literally just. It seemed like he was just in the show to be the popular guy who was going to be a dick, and then they'd be dropped by the end of season 1. And then for him to end up becoming one of the best characters, it was really unexpected.
Absolutely that. It's characters that give you an unexpected level of depth that you weren't expecting, or like that case where it's basically like they start off one way, and by the end of the story, they're a completely different person. Something that you weren't expecting.
I suppose the trope is when I suppose it's not really a trope, but when it throws you a curveball, when it's telling you to expect one thing because of a stereotype, and then it just throws you in a completely different direction.
Yeah, absolutely that.
Yeah, I just love a good redemption arc. I don't know if that's so much of a trope, but when I see people like owning mistakes and flipping it around to become a better person, I'm thinking maybe like Regina in Once Upon a Time.
Yeah.
Her redemption arc's fantastic.
Yeah, it is.
And from evil queen to how she was in the end, I love that. And she brings a lot of humanity. The character learns the humanity, and we're on the learning curve with her as well. And I want to say maybe a little bit of probably Reek/Theon in Game of Thrones, where he does, he tries to help Sansa out. He does try to amend for the things that he's done. It would never take away from what he's done, but the attempt at the redemption is, I'm on board with it. I do love a good redemption arc.
Yeah, there are another 2 characters that started off as hated characters, and then ended up being fan favorites by the end.
Good old Flip.
Yeah. I like
Rumpelstiltskin as well.
Yeah, he was a favorite from the beginning. Nobody can hate Rumpelstiltskin.
Everyone I know has got like a weird crush on him.
Yeah, Robert Carlyle.
I remember it reminds me of the classic one is Ebenezer Scrooge, because everyone hates him, but by the end of the story everyone loves him, and he'll do anything for anyone. And taking that to the next degree is Bill Murray's character from Groundhog Day, where he starts off the film being detestable and just wants to go, doesn't want to be there, just wants to go home. And every little bit that stops him along the way is like a great just like disservice to him. And by the end of the film, he's like, let's just stay there. Let's stay here. Let's get married. He's got the person he loves. He's got her for not just his own needs. He's got it for mutual understanding. Not just because I want her, kind of thing. And he's being a nice person to people, which doesn't seem like a massive thing, but like if you open your story with a character that's detestable and end up being nice by the end of the film, you've done a massive character course correct, for the better.
The only downside is like I now expect that in my real life. It's like if people are
Yeah.
going to be a dick to me, I'm like, well, where's your redemption arc, guys?
Yeah.
I'll hang around for that.
Mhm.
I think it's good to give a protagonist flaws as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, going back to Twilight, I think at the very beginning, and this is just what I've gleaned from the very brief bit that I read, was Bella is very much I can do nothing wrong. I'm rather perfect, but I don't really acknowledge that. I don't understand it, but I am quite perfect. I
It's
think that
weird
can
because
turn you off.
it's sort of weirdly yes like that, but also kind of the opposite. Like she's very self-deprecating, but in a way where it's sort of like it is supposed to make her seem humble because she's self-deprecating, but actually it just makes her sound whiny, especially
She
in the book.
kind of like a reverse Mary Sue.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
I think as well for the trope that I hate, it's when they're waking up from a coma after the whole story's a lie, it's a dream, it's a coma.
It was all a
Yeah.
dream.
I'm gonna be fist clenching.
And I feel like every single property that's ever been out ever has they're all in a coma, they're all in a dream theory that goes along with it. Every single thing. The Simpsons has it.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think who else does it. Stranger Things, there is a fan theory that it's all somebody in a coma and it's their fever dream. Grease
Yep.
is about one of them dying and having a dream before they go to
Andie.
the afterlife.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I've heard that one.
Every piece of property ever has that kind of fan theory or that trope.
Well, I
Everything
can
lot.
give you a good example here, right?
Mhm.
And this is spoiler alert, so if you don't want the following film spoiled, skip ahead.
Just put your
But
fingers
have
in
you
your ears and go
seen
la la la
Repo
la
Men?
la la la.
Have you seen Repo Men?
Oh yeah.
Jude
Yeah.
Law. I love that film. Right.
Yeah,
I
I do.
really enjoyed Repo the Opera, and then I really enjoyed Repo Men as like same kind of story in a completely different take. Really enjoyed it. Like
Mhm.
I would rate it as one of my top films that I enjoy watching and I'll rewatch up until the point where it turns out that he's in a coma and he
Yeah,
actually
that
got smashed
ruined
in the
it.
head like 20 minutes in. The very first time I watched that, I absolutely rage quit the film.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm not having this. But
Whenever you
then
have
every single rewatch, I get up to the point where he wakes up from the coma and I turn it off because I'm just
Whenever you have that kind of
you're
trope, kind
wasting
of
my
like the
time.
whole story of the whole plot of the story just falls out the bottom of it. As soon as you have that
Yeah,
trope.
it's so lazy as well.
Mhm.
Like you've just built up this fantastic story. You've engaged me throughout the whole thing, and now you're telling me that it's not fucking real. Get out.
None of it mattered.
I'm not having it. I'm not having it.
How about
Like I get really wound up in this episode.
the
There
director
is
and the writer have just stolen 2 hours from your life?
there is one instance of it that I really like, but I don't know if I really like it because there's several reasons. It's Twilight again, I'm sorry. But
We will talk about other films eventually.
in the last one, there's this big fight scene, right?
I know what you mean.
Huge. All of the characters you know are in it. Several of them die, main characters, which you didn't expect. And then it comes to the end of it, and then it turns out it was a vision that Alice was giving
The bad
to
guy.
the yeah. And a lot of people hate it, but I tell you why I like it, because it wasn't for no reason. Like it did move the story along. You still got to see those deaths, but you didn't actually lose the characters because none of them died. But another reason is because I like making people watch it who don't know that that's coming, and then watching their reaction.
Little bit sadistic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the thing
Yeah.
is, it's a really it's convenient and so say you get that far and you kill off some main characters, right? You've upped the stakes, you've killed off these characters, and then you undo all of it by going, oh, it's just a dream. Like
Yeah.
it's an easy get out. It's a parachute. It's like commit to the story. Like if killing off the main character is going to push this plot even further forward and really extend your other characters, kill them off.
Yeah.
Because that's what I really, really enjoyed about Game of Thrones is he wasn't afraid to kill people off. Jon
Yeah.
Snow, apart from that,
Yeah.
the red wedding, things like that. It's because in these big worlds, big, famous things that we're more exposed to these days, is they're not killing off people who they could kill off because they're just too afraid to do it. All the main characters, all the beloved characters, all the people who have like really famous names attached to them have epic plot armor. And it kind of it takes away from the story a little bit because that person's going to survive over and over again.
Yeah.
You don't get invested in the action as much. You don't get invested in the journey as much because they're going to be fine.
I just realised a fake out. I realised a trope that I hate as well.
Yep.
Fake out deaths. I hate it. I hate fake out deaths. Just kill them off already. Don't tell me that they've they've been knocked out. They're unconscious. Just kill them off. Kill them off. I don't know how it happened.
The worst one for that was that I saw recently, and it was a god awful movie anyway. Don't bother watching it. It was the Borderlands movie.
I watched it.
Don't watch it. I mean, spoiler alert if you plan on watching it, but I won't bother. It's awful.
Spoiler alert is awful.
They do a fake out death with Roland, and the whole time you're just thinking, there's no way you're killing him off. It's not realistic. Which is annoying because in the games he does die. Which I think is
oh my god!
Just spoiler that in the edit.
Because in the film,
I think that's why they did the fake out death in the movie, but it just didn't land at all.
No.
Because of how sort of, I don't know how to describe it, but the film was it hit every single trope. There was a chosen one. The main character was like antisocial, and she was forced to travel with this chosen one who was a child, who they thought was the chosen one or whatever. It just, every single trope that they could get in there, they got in there. And so then when the fake out death happened, you were like, well, he's obviously not dead because that's not how this film's going. It was just extremely predictable and very disappointing.
I won't watch it then.
You won't be missing much.
I watched it because I heard a lot of people saying that they hated it and that it was bad, and I was like, well, is it just because like movies that are adapted from video games and stuff tend to get a really bad reaction anyway? So I was like, I'm going to watch it and form my own opinion because I bet it's not as bad as everyone says. It was awful.
If they had redone the first Borderlands game as a film, that would have been more interesting than whatever the hell they brought out. Like, it would have been very by the numbers, and we would have been able to predict the ending, but it would have been more interesting.
I get it, because the first game doesn't have that much of a story, but the second one does. They could have adapted. The second one has a really good story. They could have adapted that into film.
Yeah.
But no, they chose to just go with as many famous people as they possibly could, even if they didn't resemble the characters at all, and then just hit every single stereotype that they could along the way.
I'm going to put it in a very...
I don't understand Kate Blanchett as Lilith.
Yeah, no, she's...
I love her as an actress, don't get me wrong. But her and Jamie Lee Curtis as well. I love them both. They're brilliant actresses. But they were too old to play those characters.
There's like a childlike whimsiness about the characters in the games.
Yeah, and they were purely cast because they're big names.
Yeah. I think didn't Jamie Lee Curtis asked to be in it as well? She played it.
Yeah, but she didn't have to be Tannis.
I know. But I think she asked to be in it, and they just gave her that role.
Yeah.
Okay. Right, well, I won't be watching that one.
It's awful. It might give you... I don't know. Anyway. If you could be teleported into any fictional place of your choice, where would it be?
Think about this, because I had an idea in my head. I was like, no, I don't want to be there. There's lots of murder. I don't want that.
Yeah, every time you think of like a fantasy place that you'd like to live, do you then remember everything that's really dangerous there?
Yeah.
I mean, like 10 years ago, I'd have said Hogwarts in the world of Harry Potter and the magic
Not
world.
So much
now. Can't really say that now. She's ruined everything.
Yeah, the mold is overtaken.
Yeah. That's a tough one then, actually.
Yeah, because every fictional world you like has some element of danger in it, or some element that, like, I don't know if I'd be able to survive it with the know-how I have now. Like, I was going to say Minecraft, but like then I just die from exposure. So
Yeah.
All right, if you're going to go with games, if we're going to introduce games into this, Skyrim. Because I'll just walk around like I'll be a happy adventurer in the mountains.
We're going down that route. I'd say Oblivion then, because that's a lovely like countryside area. Apart from obviously the Oblivion gates, ignore that. But if you're nowhere near the gates, fine, lovely.
Oh God, if you walk,
there's just still too much danger. Like I really like cozy games. So mine would be something. I think I'd originally said Stardew Valley, but then I decided that the town was too small, and I'd go crazy. But there's a really good cozy game called Coral Island, and it's great. The island is bigger, and the characters there are a bit more. There's more characters basically, so more people to get to know. The only danger is in the mines if you choose to go there.
which you wouldn't.
Exactly, and you can be a mermaid whenever you want. Like, why would I not want that?
Oh yeah.
So yeah, Coral Island.
Oh, actually, I've just thought of one. I used to spend every single bus journey going to school because I used to get 2 buses to get to school. And I'd always leave the house at the last minute because I'd be watching Sailor Moon. And then I'd run to the bus. Every single morning on that first bus into town, I was wishing I was like in Sailor Moon and that it was real.
That's a good one.
So if we're going down that route, then I'd probably say Digimon. I don't want to be in the Digimon universe, not Pokemon, because I feel like with Pokemon, it's like there's not enough threat there. Like I know obviously the Pokemon could fight each other, and you could probably get like zapped by a Pokemon and stuff like that. You could be put to sleep by a Pokemon, but I don't think there's any kind of like real danger there. Whereas Digimon, I feel like there's a bit more of an element of danger there, but not in a way where it's like I'm going to die.
So we found out today that Finn is a thrill seeker.
Oh yeah, just call me Thrill House.
Thrill House.
Okay, I've got 3 more questions.
Okay,
and then that's the end of my list. What is the best book you've ever read, in your opinion?
I want to repeat myself and say the script writing book, but I will say fiction book. I would say Fall from Grace by Tim Weaver. It's a David Raker book. It's got a great story. It's a bit of a hefty book, but I like the way that it's written because every chapter is a couple of pages. It doesn't like overstay its welcome, and it's one of my favorite books I've ever read.
Mine's a tough one because you'll just see me looking to the side because that's where all my books are, and I'm just looking over at all my books. And it really depends on what kind of mood you catch me in as to which is like the best ever that I've ever read. Like for me, I bloody adore Sherlock Holmes. It's a huge comfort read for me. I can reread it over and over again. The League of Red-Headed Gentlemen always makes me laugh. I don't know why. I think it's the sheer silliness of it, in my opinion. But as well, there's a book called Our Lizzie by Anna Jacobs. It's one of my favourite books. It's very bleak in what it's based on. She goes through a lot of what you'd say is trauma these days, and you might even go so far as to call it trauma porn, unfortunately. She goes through a lot, but the resilience of the character and the life she builds after it all, after what she goes through, every single time I read it, I'm in tears. I still get that emotional connect with the character, with the ending, with the story, with everything. I've lost the front cover of 2 copies now. I've read it that often. It's dogged, battered, the whole shebang.
You've melted it off with your tears.
Yeah. And every time I read it, it's the exact same, response for me. It's I love this character. I hate what she's gone through, and I just invest in her every single time. There was another one I just thought of that I recently read. I'm going through a bit of a Sophie Kinsella phase. So I've just finished reading The Undomestic Goddess, and there was this one line right at the very end that I think just encapsulates everything, because it's about a character who, she's a high-flying lawyer. She makes a mistake in the company and she loses like £50 million. So she runs away to, the countryside, to the Cotswolds, and she builds like a life where she just slows down. She likes to embrace cooking. She learns more about herself, and she's given the opportunity to go back into her old life, and she kind of like dips her toe into it. And part of her revelation is she just looks at everyone and she goes, I don't want to be someone who doesn't look out the windows. And that one line just like, it kind of hit me like a sledgehammer. Like her whole journey kind of hit me with, we need to slow down in life and just enjoy what's around us. So I rank that as one of my top favorite books right now, but that could change in the next few weeks.
That's a very powerful sentence as well. It's like you definitely feel it. Like even if you're in a retail job or an office job, stuff like that, and you're stuck indoors all the time, that sort of thing. You need those moments where you can just breathe, relax. You can look out a window. You can take 5 minutes for yourself, that sort of thing. I just feel like it's really, really important.
I'll be honest, after I finished reading that book, I literally dragged my desk over to underneath the window. Yeah, my gin. I put it underneath my window so I could just look out to the garden and all the trees, hence the different background. I was like, no, she's right. We need windows.
Yeah.
Okay. What movie or TV show do you think has the most perfect script, and which one has the worst script? From a script writing perspective, have you watched like a movie or TV show that you felt like every single part of the script was just bang on perfect, and any that you thought that whoever wrote that script needs to be fired?
A script where I'm like, this is perfect. Like I have no notes. You've done really good research and very emotive. Was It's a Sin Again. Very, very well written. Actually, you know what? I'm going to change that. I'm going to do something different RTD book thing. I'm going to go for Years and Years. Years and Years is a documentary. Not documentary. It's kind of like it's a fictionalized view of what would happen in the next 25 years. Set in like contemporary life, like our world. But then he kind of theorizes what would happen in the next 25 years. Very, 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 very good. Very, very well written. Very well researched for that. Some of the things that are in that show have happened. Not so much the daughter becoming an android, but that's a different thing. But that series, I'd say, I very highly regard it. Great writing, great acting. I definitely recommend Years and Years. And Emma Thompson is in it, and she plays a racist politician. It's great. What else? I'd say bad writing. Fast and Furious 10. I mean, they're all pretty shoddy, but Fast and Furious 10 is where it's kind of lost me a little bit. The minute they put a car in space and survive it, you've lost me. I'm sorry. And I love that franchise, but what the fuck?
I think that's amazing that it took you 10 whole films to go, this is shit.
I think most of it was Vin Diesel. I think I was mesmerised by his face and his muscles, and I forgot about the rest of the film. But yeah, when they put the car in space and survived it, I'm like, okay, I'm done.
I can only think of, in terms of a good script, this is an adaptation, but I thought the very first episode of The Handmaid's Tale was just bang on perfect. Like, tone, characters, the story arc, like introducing the concepts. You do it without overwhelming people. You balance it with the traumatic experiences of the the world of Gilead. Phenomenal. Like, as an adaptation, beautiful.
Actually, I mentioned that Handmaid's Tale when we were talking about adaptations earlier, but then we sort of moved on. But it's brilliant.
I didn't really like the later seasons. I think the later seasons went a little too off-piste.
Have you finished it?
Yeah. I thought the ending was kind of like kind of right for majority of the characters. Not so much for Serena. Serena can get in the bin.
That's another thing, though. When a character, Serena and Aunt Lydia are two characters where it was like, at first you hate them, and then you sympathise with them, and then you sort of like them, and then you hate them again, and then you have sympathy for them, and then you hate them, and then you like. And I love characters like that because they're multidimensional. It's not just you're supposed to like them all the time. They're flawed, and their thought process is stupid and it's sometimes, but they're not evil. Like they think they're doing right, and I like the sort of characters where they're written to be. Sometimes you like them, sometimes you don't, because that's how life is. That's how people are.
I will say the example I can think of that is Janine Butcher in EastEnders, because majority of the time she's a bitch, everyone hates her, but she does have storylines and moments where like, oh, I actually feel sympathy for her. Why do I feel sympathy for her?
Yeah,
she's a horrible person. Yeah.
Is that redemption arc again? Like with Serena, I found myself really confused as to why I was liking her and why I was rooting for her.
Yeah.
But then at the ending, I thought she got off too easy.
Yeah, I think she did. But with Aunt Lydia, she's like, it's a little bit more obvious why you're sympathising with her, because she genuinely thinks she's doing the best that she can for the handmaids, and you can tell she actually cares for them, and she's doing everything she does because she wants them to, like, I don't know, go to heaven or whatever it is she believes in. So you can see why she's doing the horrible things that she's doing. And then when it comes to like the later seasons, when she does start to soften up and she does start to realize that what she's been doing is wrong, you do sympathize with her, because it's like she's getting that realization, and it's very human. And I love when characters are written like that.
Yeah, that finale with her letting all the handmaids, spoiler alert, letting the handmaids go. That was kind of like in the moment where you're like, yes, Aunt Lydia, go for it.
Such a brilliant scene. Such a good
But
scene.
if she didn't have that relationship with Janine, I don't think she'd have got to that point.
No, it was like a mother-daughter relationship, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And yeah, I agree.
In terms of a bad adaptation, I hate to say the fact that I watched 50 Shades of Grey, but I did watch 50 Shades of Grey, and the whole way through I was like, what the shit?
Yeah.
This is terrible.
Well, wasn't it originally like it was written as a Twilight fanfic?
Yeah.
Like an adult Twilight fanfic,
Yeah.
so that sort of explains everything.
But then I think the film was written by someone else, but then the E.L. James, the author, took over the script and then like changed the script a lot. There's something like that. But I only watched that first one, and a lot of the time I was just laughing at half the things they said. It wasn't the delivery, it wasn't, the setup or anything. It genuinely was just like, what is this trash?
But to
People
be fair,
don't speak like this.
I also don't think Dakota Johnson is a very good actress.
No.
But I don't.
From
People
the trailer,
criticize.
she didn't look like she was like acting much. She was kind of like, okay.
She doesn't.
like-
She's just the same face constantly. Like people say this about Kristen Stewart. But if you watch Kristen Stewart in other movies other than Twilight, she is a good actress. That's just how she was directed. But you watch Dakota Johnson in other movies, and she's the same character. Exactly the same, and she just, no. That's aside from the point. Anyway, we're talking about scripts, but still,
the deep dive about 50 Shades of Grey and Twilight will be coming in the next episode.
With 50
I'll
Shades
have
of
to mark
Grey, I
this
don't think.
15.
Yeah, it was partly the script and partly the writing, but I think it was partly the casting as well, and probably direction.
Yeah. Burn the whole thing aside again.
Yeah.
But it all starts at a bad script. Right.
Yeah. Last question. This has got to be an easy one, and I know it's an easy one for Andie, I think.
Oh, thanks.
Based on her previous answers, which author or writer is your biggest inspiration?
You're gonna be surprised that I'm not going to say Stephen King. I'm going to say Ira Levine.
Oh my god, what?
I know, terrible. I absolutely love the worlds that he created with Stepford Wives, Rosemary's Baby. There's quite a few others. A Kiss Before Dying's all right. Not Brave New World. There's another one. I can't remember it off the top of my head. and it's hidden behind some books. But again, one of them is the idea of the whole human species is kind of like merged into one sort of homogenous kind of, race and species, and it's quite a big world as well. And I love the worlds that he creates because it comes down to very horrifying concepts in very usual situations. So I'm kind of being scared of the everyday, but it only relates to the early 90s, I think. So we need like modern Ira Levine. That's what I want to be. But I also do love
first
Stephen
podcast. Path Publication podcast people, scribblers. You heard it here first.
I do love Stephen King. I like the imagination he's got, where he can build a lot of horrifying concepts out of very mundane things, like Christine Cujo. Even Misery, the whole idea of just one person becoming absolutely fanatical about you, that was horrifying to read.
Didn't he write one about noses coming to life?
I don't know about that. That sounds scary.
It's the first I've ever heard of this.
I'm sure Nathan told me about this.
Nathan dreaming when he said this.
No. I'm sure he said it was Stephen King. Nathan! One sec.
Margaret!
That movie you told me about where people's noses come to life. Was that Stephen King? What? It's a short film.
The short film?
So it's probably a short, I don't know. It's Stephen King. People's noses just gained sentient and like tried to take over the world.
I can believe that. I think the only book of his that I found... The only book of his that I found really, really difficult to finish was Thinner. Just the concept, something about it just really turned my stomach.
I would probably say, for me, I can't think of anybody else. I'm sure there is. But Russell T Davies is a big inspiration for me. I've eaten up everything he's ever done, apart from when he first started out on those news channels in the 80s. But every TV thing that he's ever done, I feel like I've watched. Queer as Folk, It's a Sin, Years and Years, Cucumber, Tofu, Banana, Doctor Who, Torchwood, name but a few. I feel like I've watched a lot of his stuff, and I am nowhere near his expertise, but hopefully one day I will.
Wait, that's a lie. I mentioned Jekyll, but that's not Russell T Davies. That's Stephen Moffat.
I see.
I can see how you got them mixed up.
Well, they're both Doctor Who.
They both were showrunners, so I did like the modern Sherlock TV series, not the last season. Forget that last season. But the first 3 seasons of Sherlock that came out were under Stephen Moffat and Mark Gatiss. Loved that series as well.
Oh, do you know what? After I watched Elementary, I thought Sherlock was a bit of shit. Sorry.
What, the BBC version of it?
Yeah, but
thank you, Gina. Really appreciate you being on today.
Yeah, thank you for getting to know us a bit more with our writing and introducing more of our ideas, more of our concepts, more of our likes and dislikes, and a lot more of my fist clenching.
I hope we've entertained you over the last couple of hours, and you'll come back on a future podcast even. I hope you go back in time and go to a previous podcast. I hope you'll join us on a future podcast.
And thank you guys for giving me a judgment-free zone to rant about Twilight.
You are welcome.
It's a safe space here. No, there's not really a lot more to say apart from thank you for joining us in this conversation.
And I hope we will join you on the path of publication.
What on earth was that?
What? What, did I get it wrong?
Well, you didn't get it right.
I'll try that again.
Go
on. And we'll join you on the path of publication. My name's Finn.
I've been Andie.
I've been Gina.
And we'll see you again in the next episode. See, Gina's perfect. She's flawless. She doesn't fuck up her lines. Like, she's an absolute professional for the entire thing. She gets us idiots. All right.
Bye.
Bye.